One of the greatest wealth transfers in history has just started. And if you hold XRP, Bitcoin, gold, or any other hard asset that isn't directly tied to the US dollar, then you'll not only be safe in the upcoming regime changes, but you'll build wealth in an environment where the rich lose it and those with foresight enough to see these global shifts will become wealthy. Now, according to Robert Kiyosaki, billion-dollar real estate mogul and author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he states that a global crash has started and how this crash is arguably the best time to get filthy rich. But first, some things are going to need to happen. So exactly how will this occur? And the reality is, when this happens, virtually nobody will expect it and nobody is currently talking about it. But in this video, I will reveal some shocking information and, more importantly, help you to understand how it's going to happen so you can be prepared. Either way, the biggest beneficiaries of this wealth transfer will be holders of the largest crypto assets, and more specifically XRP, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, as they are the largest cryptos by market cap. And already BlackRock has filed for spot ETFs for both Bitcoin and Ethereum, which were approved earlier in 2024, and billions of dollars have flowed into both of them. But with Bitcoin specifically, there has been so much demand, it has outpaced their gold ETF and has been the fastest growing ETF in history. So this is truly a sign of what's to come for digital assets, as Bitcoin is like the mothership and Bitcoin is ultimately what drives the tide in crypto. If Bitcoin is doing well, then everything else is doing well. If Bitcoin is doing poorly, virtually nothing is doing well. However, this leads me to believe that it's extremely likely BlackRock will also file for an XRP spot ETF early in 2025, which will not only set XRP up for new highs with a God candle, but will open the doors for XRP up to retirement accounts and pensions to the tune of $100+ trillion so they can access it in a regulated manner. Now, here's what's so crazy about BlackRock is they get approved for 99% of the ETFs they file for. So it's extremely likely that when this time it happens, XRP is going to pump hard because it's virtually all but guaranteed that XRP is now going to be approved for a spot ETF. So in this video, we will discuss a recent post by a credible macro analyst made on Bitcoin, and more specifically global M2 or money supply, and how this might play out, plus some ranges you should be on the lookout for because this will affect your entire portfolio. We'll discuss Robert Kiyosaki's latest post on how a global crash will be incoming and what he shared that you should be paying attention to. We'll dive into the latest futures market data and how day traders are trading XRP right now so you can have more of a short-term perspective. Should you be buying right now or should you wait a day or two? And of course, we'll discuss the price action and what I believe comes next. So if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you're going to be the wealthiest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Hello and welcome back to the Bull Runners channel. If you're new here, my name is Paul. You can find me on Twitter or X at PauliDeFi, PauliDeFi. Now that said, Robert Kiyosaki is someone that people tend to pay attention to when it comes to markets, because not only is he a very strong or a sound investor with a lot of experience who carries a lot of weight behind his words, but now he has a few people skittish based on his most recent tweet surrounding the fact that he thinks we are currently experiencing a global market crash and to buy more Bitcoin. Now here's the actual tweet. He's basically saying that global crash has started, Europe, China, and the USA are going down, and there's a potential depression ahead. Now, back in this article, he mentions how the global economy seems to be in a very fragile situation, and we might enter a depression phase soon. Despite this, Bitcoin is a volatile asset class. However, he is very bullish about it. And you can see that right here. He's saying gold, silver, and Bitcoin hold their value. Now, here is where I do believe he is correct. We are currently currently experiencing a global crash. And we're talking a crash in terms of fiat currencies, as even China, one of the most powerful economies in the world at one point, is now drowning in debt. And although Xi Jinping is trying to save their economy, ultimately they are reeling from a property bust that wiped out trillions of dollars of household wealth, and they are verging on a deflationary spiral. And it's not just China reeling in debt. We're also looking at the United States currently sitting at $36.2 trillion. Now, if I use this time machine to go back just 4 short years ago, you can see our debt was sitting at $29.2 trillion. In other words, we've added a whopping $7 trillion of debt in a 4 short year time frame. And this is truly unsustainable. In other words, holding on to US dollars or any asset class that is closely related or tied to the US dollar, you are getting absolutely screwed. And so the wealthy that revel in their wealth and love holding on to the dollar, where cash is king, are ultimately going to lose that wealth to stronger asset classes or digital asset classes like XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, so on and so forth. And this is exactly why Trump appointed Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE for short, which is hilarious. That said, they want to overhaul the government and they want to get rid of this reckless spending, which is going to ruin wealth. But ultimately, it might be too little and too late. And that's exactly what Kiyosaki thinks, which is why he believes a crash is coming, why Bitcoin is going to hold its value, and why this right now is the best time for people to get rich. However, it's important to also take what Kiyosaki says with a grain of salt, as back in October, he was talking about how Bitcoin may drop to $5,000, and he was already talking about this everything crash. But since that point in time, and we're talking October 12th, Bitcoin was up a whopping 71% and up currently about 50% since that period of time. So in a very short period of time, and we're talking really only 73 days, Bitcoin has outperformed the S&P 500, virtually all major TradFi markets, all of the biggest stocks, and is in high demand worldwide. And when you see this type of a ship in the crypto market leading things, it provides a lot of fresh air for other cryptos to breathe and make room for new all-time highs. Cryptos like XRP, which is why we've actually seen XRP outperforming other things, not only because it's had good news surrounding a new SEC chairman, it just broke out of a 6.5-year descending wedge or triangle, but also because there is a lot of investor demand. Ultimately, if there is no demand, things don't perform well. If there is demand, it's going to drive the price up based on bids alone. And so when we look at the price action on XRP since early November, about November 3rd on those local lows, versus the price action on something like Bitcoin, and I'll go ahead and put up on a percentage scale, you can see that Bitcoin is up 36% in this period of time, which is still really good. However, in that same period of time, XRP has actually 10x'd its performance with a 346% gain. So more often than not, you want to invest in the strong performers. You want to invest in the things that whenever things dump really hard, they also bounce really strongly, because this is indicative of investor demand. Now, before we actually show you the stats on investor demand and who's buying or selling XRP, or better yet, accumulating, before I go ahead and do that, head on over to bullrunners.com. You can find that link in the bio or description below. And on the other side, you'll see Altcoin Pro University. This is the best crypto university on the planet, and we stand by that, as now we almost have 1,100 members. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you right now and the reason it's so urgent is because on January 1st of this year, we will be raising the price from $97 a month up to $197 a month. And the reason that we're doing that is because we want to sift and filter for high quality individuals who are truly committed to becoming crypto millionaires and adding real value to this community. Even if you're brand new and you don't know anything. Ultimately, your commitment is what matters. We don't want anyone here who's just half-assing it, if you will. So that said, we're going to be raising the price. However, if you get started before then, you will be locked in or grandfathered in at that rate. Now, on the other side, we offer hundreds of hours of classes and courses. We will be hosting plenty of live calls, sometimes 2 to 3 times a week, where you can get your questions answered live, which is why we need to raise the price, because once it gets too busy, we simply can't service everyone to the same degree that we would like to. We offer altcoin picks that our professionals pick and share with you before we share them anywhere else. Actually, stuff we don't even share on the channel, that's sometimes 5x, 10x, 15x, and even 50 plus x. We show you how to do technical analysis like a pro. We show you how to get access to the best DeFi yield so you can put your crypto to work for you and earn yield on it, and also airdrop alerts. So if any or all of that sounds interesting to you and you want to take advantage of it before we raise the price on January 1st, which time is running out, then head on over to bullrunners.com. Link is in the bio below. Let's get back into the video. Now, when we talk about investor demand, it's important to see a strong accumulation in any crypto, because if you don't see any accumulation, obviously people aren't buying it and they don't want to hold it. But when you see strong accumulation and wallets consistently growing in terms of the amount that they hold or the amount of wallets that hold it, then this is a very good sign. So right here, I have the price of XRP. You can see it's very normal and something that you've seen before. The highs up here at 290, the local lows and double dip, if you will, double bottom, is down here at about $1.96. Here I'm going to pull up one group or set of wallets. In other words, these are wallets that hold between 1 to 100,000 XRP. This is what I would consider our retail investors. And as you can see here, since around this time in December 4th, all the way through these lows and through all of the volatility, retail investors, people like me and you, have consistently been accumulating and holding XRP. We've been adding to our bags. That would make sense. More often than not, you're like, well, I don't want to be on the side of retail investors, right? I want to be on the side of institutional investors. So then let's go ahead and look at those bigger investors, people who can truly afford a boatload of XRP, maybe, I don't know, $1 million to $10 million. And as you can see here, since the actual lows down here at under 60 cents, those guys have been accumulating. So let me go ahead and turn this off. You see this yellow line? This line has consistently been growing, and these guys have consistently been adding to their bags over 1 billion XRP. Now, finally, let's go to those mega whales, the people that are actually holding all of the XRP, if you will. And we're looking at this red line. I'll go ahead and dump this other line right here. And you can see on the red line, even since the highs of about $1.90, even the mega whales that hold over 100 million XRP have consistently been accumulating and now have just been holding steady. However, this accumulation is quite tremendous, all the way up from 8 billion to 9.66 billion tokens. So yes, this accumulation is indicative of investor demand. Even though we might get a little bit more volatility in the short term or interim, long term, a lot of money is flowing into products like XRP. And this is only strengthened by the fact that we are going to have a wealth transfer to the tune of $84 billion. Now, here's what's so beautiful. As we have boomers here that are only 15% comfortable investing into cryptocurrencies, and by the way, this is a report directly from Charles Schwab, as you can see right here. I'll go ahead and scroll right back up. You can see that Gen X investors are comfortable investing in cryptocurrencies to the tune of 44%, while millennials are comfortable with cryptocurrencies up to 62%, and they're actually comfortable investing in cryptos more than everything else like US equities or bonds and fixed income or even real estate. However, boomers are more focused on equity. So at the end of the day, as boomers continue to die off, you are going to see a wealth transfer, again, to the tune of $84 billion. Now, here's what's so crazy about this stat is the fact that a lot of that is going to roll over into Gen X and millennials and even Gen Z. And Gen Z prefers crypto more than any other asset by far. If they were to pick one asset to invest into, that is cryptocurrency. So as these people die off and as people inherit a lot of this wealth, a lot of that money is going to be transferred into crypto. So although I do not believe Robert Kiyosaki is right about this $5,000 drop on the market collapse, considering at the same time he's saying you're going to get rich by holding Bitcoin and it will hold its value. I think he's been bouncing around a lot in terms of timeframes, and he's obviously been wrong when on October 12th he was saying it was going to dump and Bitcoin instead pumped really, really hard. So here's what I do believe though. We are seeing a crash. We're seeing a crash of wealth when it comes to fiat currencies and holding old or traditional asset classes. And instead, what is happening is there's a big transfer of wealth into digital assets when we see a lot of this money flowing directly into crypto, things like XRP, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. And I believe this global wealth transfer will continue through 2025 and arguably through the end of the decade. However, it's also important to pay attention to news like this, and not because you should be frightened by it, but you should be discerning by it. Kobisi Letter is a great analyst, but at the end of the day, this type of stuff can scare you out of your bag. As they said, Bitcoin prices have followed the global money supply, or the M2 supply, with a 10-week lag. And right here you have an image where the orange line is the price of Bitcoin. The white line is the global M2 money supply. And as you can see here, whenever one goes up, the other goes up. When one kind of hangs out in a range, the other hangs out in a range. And when one pumps, the other pumps. Arguably, when one dumps, the other should dump. Well, as we can see right here, the global M2 money supply has decreased by $4.1 trillion. However, this was at a peak of $108,000. And since that point in time, Bitcoin has actually dumped almost 15%. So when you see a dip like this in a very strong asset class where money is flowing into it, yes, those dips are typically good for buying. Which leads me to XRP and the price charts. Right here, I have a liquidation map from CoinGlass. Again, something that I use often and is one of my favorite tools to either keep me in trades or help me to understand what's happening over the next day or two. Now, this is a very short-term time frame to look at, but at the end of the day, I found this to be pretty accurate. So I come down to the second thing down below where it says Bitcoin Exchange liquidation map, and I change it to XRP. Then I put it from a daily time frame to a 7-day time frame, which typically gives me a good indicator of where the majority of money is actually hanging. You can even look at that daily if you'd really like, but I think the 7 days is a pretty good place to be. Then I turn off Binance and OKX and just look at this red line and the green line. The green line on the right hand side over very far right shows that they're at $2.52. About $210 million of liquidations will happen on the short side. In other words, if XRP hits 252, anyone who is short or selling XRP will lose their money. On the flip side, we have over here, if the price of XRP hits $1.90, about $124 million of liquidations will occur. So we have about $80 million more of liquidations occurring on the short side, which leads me to believe the majority of money is currently still sitting short. Now, it doesn't mean that these people can't get wrecked on a big move. It simply means that more often than not, on a shorter term time frame, if I come over to the XRP chart, I still see people being short. So I take that into consideration, but I do not make it my end all be all for my analysis. So let's go ahead and do this analysis really quick and see if it tells us the exact same thing or something different. And yes, I'm doing this live. Yes, I'm not going into this already knowing what I'm going to say, which means I am truly agnostic when it comes to price action and charts. And ultimately, anyone in investing should be, because if you hold too long, you can get screwed, even with really strong asset classes like XRP. At the end of the day, I don't want to see this thing dump back down to its previous all-time high right here at $1.58, because that would be a pretty big loss for me, when in reality, I could take a bit of profit off the table and then buy back in somewhere around here. But at the end of the day, if you are a longer-term investor and you're not focused on these small swings, holding any amount of XRP over the course of a couple of years is probably a really smart move. Now, with all of that said, this is not considered financial advice, so don't take it as such. This is my opinion only. This is for educational and informational purposes. So do whatever you want with your portfolio. But if you don't feel comfortable trading swings or moves like this, and you're already massively up in profit on XRP, the best thing you can do is hold for the end of the bull market cycle. But for those of you guys who are okay playing these types of moves, then I highly recommend you just watch the rest of this video. That said, I'm going to go ahead and pull up a 4-hour time frame, and I'm just going to look at the chart chart right here. So as you can see here, we've consistently seen sell pressure right around here at 265 with a bit of a bear trap or a bull trap right here where people were bullish and then the market broke down. Then we had another little bull trap right here. Actually, something that I did mention on the channel. I said if we did not close above here on a daily time frame and we sold off, you guys can go and rewatch those videos. Then guess what? I am not going to enter the market because I'd far rather enter at those local lows of about $2.20. And the reason I said $2.20 is because I had a 10 and 20 EMA up. And as you can see here, it perfectly aligned with that 20 EMA where we are getting a boatload of support. And since that point in time, we had one last breakdown to the $1.95 range. So let's go ahead and just take a line and place it right there. And more often than not, I actually like to play ranges. So I'll drag this tool right down into this range here, maybe put it just slightly higher so it touches all of those wicks, remove that red line. And you can see here, this is kind of the last stand of support for XRP if it's going to hold this range. Now from a daily time frame, you can see that we did just slightly break down below the 20 EMA only to get break right back above. I would like to see the price break above this 10 EMA and start to put in a new local high, arguably above that $2.38 range. So if we see the price of XRP break above $2.38, I will be accumulating more because this is a true indicator that this thing is ready to fly. And typically after a 1, 2, 3, and 4th touch of the $2.62 range, it's highly likely to fly to new local highs. That said, I am not skittish as much as I was, considering this did look really, really bad, but we were starting to break right back into this range. So sometimes it helps to actually zoom in a bit. And as you can see here, this is our major range of support. However, the current support that we are being supported at is sitting right around here at about $2.22 to $2.24. And a break above this range, which we currently just did on a daily time frame, is likely to take us back up to $2.38 and then fully up to $2.62. This right here is a play that I'm willing to take. And so I have added to my positions, and I actually did right back here before this major volatility spike to the downside. So it's been hard to hold, but sometimes you have to have conviction in strong and sound assets. So yes, right now things are looking really good for XRP, and I do expect it to get to that $2.38 range soon, unless of course we experience some level of volatility or a crash in the markets. That will affect XRP, and my next buy zone would be down at the $2 range, down to the $1.93 range. So that said, if you enjoyed the video, you learned something new on the technical side, be sure to subscribe to the channel. It helps us out. And also check out bullrunners.com because we teach you a lot of other things and how to use a bunch of other technical indicators inside of Altcoin Pro University. And we will be raising the price to $197 on January 1st. So if you want to lock in or be grandfathered in at that $97 a month rate and see what all the buzz is about, then head on over to bullrunners.com, watch this short video. I look forward to seeing you on the other side, my friend. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.